Hi everybody and welcome back to the Girly Girl Bookworm. So today I have my weekly wrap up for you. I'm sorry I look like a frazzled mess. I probably sound like a frazzled mess. My dad went back into the hospital this week. Last week he went in actually, and he had surgery on Monday. So my life has just been a little chaotic. Like, I'm surprised I'm even sitting here and filming because I actually almost forgot until like 5 minutes ago that I needed to film this. So yeah, I'm just gonna get started. The first book I read last week when I saw you, it was Tuesday, it was early, and I told you that I was going home and that there was going to be a new release waiting for me, and it was there. And it was Nothing Bad Is Going to Happen by Kathleen Hale. Please, before you comment down below, I know, I'm going to get so much hate for wanting to read this and pre-ordering it. But I am supporting the book and not the author. I do not approve what the author did, but I needed to read this book because I loved the first book so much. I read the first book before I even knew what happened with the author, gave it 5 stars, I loved it, had to continue on. So I did pre-order this. This book was not as good as I was anticipating. I really didn't know what to expect from it because the first book was so good and it felt like it had a specific ending and didn't really need to carry on. So, was this book necessary? Not really. Did I like it as much as the other one? Not really. I gave this one 4 stars, so it was still good and interesting. It took me a little while to get into it because I couldn't really remember most of the characters from the previous book because I read it over a year ago. But I still had fun with it. It's one of those like crime novels. Like, she has like a mystery crimeness to it, but it's still really funny. It has some like wit to it. I love these covers though. I think they're really funny. They're really like ugly sweaters. And John Mulaney, who is a comedian, he actually is quoted on the back, so I thought that was kind of interesting. It's way shorter than I was expecting too, because No One Else Can Have You is kind of pretty big. But I don't know. I thought it was still really good. I'm glad that I picked it up. I can't tell though if she's gonna try to make this a trilogy or not. I'm kind of hoping she doesn't because I felt like the first one was just like wham bam, thank you, ma'am, it's good, it's done, and I liked it. And I just felt like this was kind of just trying to stretch it. After that, I believe I have this in the right reading order. I could totally be wrong. I read Before I Go to Sleep by S.J. Watson. This is the movie tie-in edition, and I wanted to read this one because I had seen when I was like looking over Patrick's shoulder one day that this movie was on Netflix, and I was like, I have to read it while it's still on Netflix. So I did. I read this book, and then that night, was it that night? I think I finished, I don't remember when I finished it, but whenever I finished it, we watched the movie, like either that night or the next day. And it was pretty good. I think I gave it 3 stars. It's about a woman who wakes up every day and she doesn't remember the day before, but she finds this journal and it kind of like tells her like she's been keeping a journal every day to figure out like new things that she remembers she puts back in there so as she can remind herself the next day when she forgets again. I thought it was really interesting. It was kind of a little bit predictable, but not really. But it gets very, very tedious. The girl forgets what she did the day before, so every day starts off the same. I don't remember anything. I found this journal. It read like fiction. Da 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 da. Repeat all the information I learned from the day before. Next day. Like the same thing over and over and over again. It got really tedious. Tedious. So I was like, maybe the movie will make it better. Didn't really enjoy the movie either. Very repetitive and boring as well. They changed so much like randomness that like you don't need to change. Like the sun's age. I forgot, like there was just like cities that they changed the name of the city. Like it didn't make sense. Like there was no need to change some of the stuff that they changed. So yeah, I don't really recommend it. I think it could have been done a little bit better, but it was still kind of intriguing. Another problem I also had, side note, the chapters are so long. And I'm sorry, if a chapter is really long and I'm already kind of bored, it makes the book take 10 times longer than it needs to because I'm constantly like, when's the chapter over? When's the chapter over? And if it's like 60 pages, Like, I think the last chapter was like 60 pages. I get really tired. So, I don't know. I don't really recommend this book. And then I read a book all in one day at work because oh yeah, so this is the right order. So I read this on Friday, I think. I want to say it was Friday. One of my classes was on a field trip. So, literally, it was Friday, yeah. I literally didn't have my morning work that I had to do. So I sat and I read for a half an hour here. I get to work a half an hour early, so I read a half an hour there. And then with my class on field trips, and I'm already like caught up with my plans and everything, I just read for most of the day. Before, like, I still did my fourth graders, and then when the second graders came back and like they had a little party and stuff, I hung out in there. But literally the rest of the day, I finished the book. And that was 10 by Gretchen McNeil. This was a reread for me. This is kind of like a retelling of And Then There Were None. I gave this book 5 stars. It may have looked really confusing that day on Goodreads for me because I was trying to make this switch editions so that way I would count from my February, like the year I read it, which was in 2013, and this year, and it wouldn't let me do it. It would not. So it took it out of my 2013 goal and put it in 2016. So it's really making me mad. Goodreads is making me mad. But yeah, still 5 stars. I think I almost had more fun with it this time than I did last time because I just let myself enjoy the story and not freak out about the writing or anything like that. So 5 stars for 10. Glad I finally got to reread this. Then over the weekend, this book took me so long, I feel like. Even though it didn't, I technically read it Saturday and Sunday, but once it was Sunday, I was like, I need to finish this and just power through. And that was Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. It didn't live up to the hope that I was having for it. Like, I kind of hyped it up in my head because really I had never heard of it anywhere else. But I just felt like it was supposed to be better. It is supposed to be a suspense, kind of like Gone Girl-esque kind of book where it's about these 2 women that are sisters. They're kind of estranged. They're not really getting along right now. And back in the day, like, their sister went missing. And now, like, one of the girls, there's another girl in the town that's kind of gone missing. So it kind of almost brings the girls together. Like, other life events obviously happen that bring them back together. And there's mystery involved because they never figured out what happened to their sister. You really almost need to read the synopsis to fully understand it because the beginning of it, because I didn't even really read the synopsis, but like the beginning was very confusing because it switches perspectives between Claire and Lydia, and in order to know like if they're even related, because like I said, they were estranged in the beginning, so like they have nothing to do with each other. So I was a little confused. You also have interludes of their father, kind of like a journal entry to the missing daughter. And it's just kind of confusing in the beginning, but once you figure that all out, it kind of goes nicely. But this one also is another one that has really long chapters, and I felt like this story dragged on for way too long. It's not even that big of a book. I think it was only 360 pages or something like that. But it just, like, I felt like the storyline could have been condensed a lot more and could have been done a little bit better. I would possibly give Karen Slaughter another chance. I think she has other books that are out too that are similar in nature, so I might try her again, but this wasn't as big of a love as I thought it was going to be. And then my dad, like I said, was having surgery on Monday, so I was at the hospital for most of the day, so I was like, I'm going to bring a quick, fast read, which I didn't end up doing. I brought Tonight and Always by Nora Roberts. I was expecting this to be a light, quick read. I got most of the way through. I got to like page 170 or something like that, so I only had 100 pages to read the next day. This was not my favorite Nora Roberts book. Definitely probably my least favorite. This seems like it came from an anthology based off of looking how it says Tonight and Always previously appeared in From the Heart, and then in the inside where it says like other books by this author, it says like anthology, and it has this listed. So I feel like this was supposed to be kind of like a short story like thrown in an anthology, and maybe then it would make sense. It didn't exactly make sense to me. I still don't really even like get this cover. It was very, very choppy. It's about this girl named Casey, and she goes to stay with this other guy. He's an author and she's an anthropologist, and she goes to stay with him to kind of help him write his book, to make sure that it's like historically accurate and things like that. And it's supposed to be like a love story between the two of them, but it was so like weird and chopped up, and just one minute it seemed like it was her perspective and the next minute it was his perspective, like within the same page, not even switching like perspectives. Like it was really weird. I didn't like their relationship together. The events just like went crazy. I didn't like it at all. Unfortunately, this is probably, like I said, my least favorite Nora Roberts book. I gave it like 2 stars. I did not really enjoy this at all. And then the book that I'm going to try to pick up now is My Last Kiss by Bethany Neal. This just seems intriguing. It's been kind of calling me. This looks really weird. I never realized that. Like, they couldn't have picked a better spine. Like, why does that girl's face have to be on everything? And no, most covers don't have this dot. Book Outlet sent it to me like that by accident. So yeah, I think this is another kind of paranormal, not paranormal, but like suspenseful. Like this girl dies, and I think the last thing she kind of remembers is getting a kiss, and she needs to figure out like who kissed her or something like that, because then it'll lead to who murdered her. I think. I could be wrong. I will tell you next week if I decide to go through and read this. But yeah, I hope you guys had a really great week. I hope it was better than mine. Mine has just been dragging. But hopefully the horizon is in sight now. And I hope you guys are having a really great reading week and week in general and life. And I'm rambling and I'm going to go.